a chance to seal it. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly. Rotherham United's pathway back to the championship is opening up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast, and we have one of our favourite kind of episodes where we talk to a former Miller. Today, we have Lee Peltier joining us to tell us all about his time at the Millers. How are you doing, Lee?
I'm all good, thanks, fellas. How are you?
Very, very good. Thank you very much. Mick, Tom, are you with us as well? How are you doing, boys?
Yeah, all good, mate.
Excellent.
Top stuff. Cheers, fellas. Right, I thought we'd go back to the kind of start of your time with the Millers, Lee. You signed in the summer of 2022, I think it was, under Warney. Just talk us through how that move came back. 'Cause you were at the Borough the year before, and we were a little bit surprised you came down to little old Rotherham who've just come up.
Sorry, lads, it keeps going off here.
That's all right.
Can you hear us all right?
I've got all yous. I missed a Matt. Oh, there he is.
Oh, we're behind it. Oh, good.
Cool. I was wondering if you could tell us about how you signed for the club, Lee. Obviously, Paul Warne signed you in that summer. Just talk about how the move came about back then.
To be fair, it come about quite late on. Funny enough, before I was signing at Rotherham, I was meant to sign at Preston, and it just fell through last minute. So I was just training away at home, and there was a few offers coming in and stuff like that. Didn't really fancy them, and then Warney called me, and obviously I played with Warney years ago up at Yeovil. And he called me and he just said, like, would you be interested in coming up? And we've got a good thing going on here and stuff like that. Championship, the place is thriving and stuff. So I was like, yeah, go on, let's have a little go. So come down, and the rest was history.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did it take much convincing? Because Rotherham, the yo-yo tag was well and truly on us at that point. Did it take much convincing to try and stop that happening?
Not really, no. At the stage of the career I was at, it weren't really one of them things. I was just going to enjoy football. And I wanted a team that was, at the time, Rotherham, a couple of years ago, it was a good club. It was exciting. You know, Warney had something going. And anything could have happened that season. And, you know, for me, it was to help them sustain championship status, which they hadn't done for a while before. So for me, that was my goal. Usually I was competing the other end of the tables for promotion. So this time it was something different, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll come to you, Mick, because you've been watching Rotherham the longest, but Lee fits into the Rotherham United mould, doesn't he? Perfectly.
100%, yeah. And I mean, I didn't realise that you'd known Warney previously, but if you'd have given us, if we'd written a script or a description of the type of player that Rotherham United supporters take to, and a kind of typical Rotherham United players, Lee Peltier fits right into the middle of that. Absolutely slap bang into the middle of it. Because it's just the way that you play your football, the way that you enjoy your football, but you've got that little edge to you as well. And you graft everything about the way that you approach your football game, the way that you play is just it's what we love at this football club, and we sadly don't have very much of it anymore. You and Woody were last ones. So yeah, I mean, I can see why Warney wanted you to come, definitely, even without the sort of previous knowledge of you and playing with you. So yeah, definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It started really, really well as well. We'll come on to Warney leaving in a minute, but that first couple of months were, for us, dreamland. Well, we're 10th or whatever it were going into the first international break. The feeling around that around the club from a fan perspective was fantastic. Just tell what it was like for the players in that first couple of months.
You know what? It was great. It was, you know, you got into the changing rooms and there was a real good feel, good team spirit about the place. Some really good characters in there, by the way, in the dressing room, which makes a massive difference. And you know, we had the momentum obviously from the following season, and it just obviously went into the championship season, and as you say, started really well, and you know, we were looking up rather than down at one point, and yeah, it was a good time to start of the season, and then went a bit the other way.
Just a bit. Yeah. Let's talk about the change in the manager. We've talked to Hacks and Ollie Rathbone about this a little bit. They kind of said it was kind of a little bit out of the blue for them. I assume same for you, but then you had the second part was, well, will you take us for a game? I suppose that's quite different for you.
Yeah, definitely. It was out the blue. To be fair, it was the international break, wasn't it? And I was away in Cannes with the missus, so I was enjoying the breaks. And then I got a call from Rob Scott. It was letting me know what was going on, and obviously, if like the club were thinking of like me and Woody have not taken over, but looking after the lads until they found someone. So I was in France. I was in the south of France. Got me pad book straight out and started trying to plan some sessions.
Is that something that you've sort of, you know, looked at since? You know, I mean, you get a taste for it, and obviously, you know, it can either put you, you know, in favour of it or against it. Is it something that you've kind of pursued since? I know you did some work in the academy, but you know, is it something that you want to take into men's football, or are you just trying to go day by day now and then sort of enjoy what it is at the minute?
A little bit of both at the minute. A little bit of both. I've done all my badges, done my B and my A license. I've only got left to go, which is the major one. It's always something that I've thought of, but at the minute, I'm just I'm just having a little bit of time out and just enjoying. But I do also love the side of mentoring and helping and developing players, and I suppose that can come under coaching, managing, whatever way you want to put that. But I also like the individual as like one-to-one sort of thing. And as I say, a lot of things are going through my mind at the minute. I haven't quite nailed it down, so we'll see what happens in the future.
Definitely.
That spell of caretaker was only one game, but how easy, difficult, enjoyable was it to do? Obviously, you and Woody did it. Woody played. Obviously, you were on the touchline for the Wigan game. How difficult was that spell up until the Wigan game?
It was all right, to be fair, because to be fair, I had to respect the lads straight away. So even when Warney was there in the dressing room, I'd still say my piece, and the lads would still listen, and that just followed on into that week where we took the training. It was just putting on sessions really and trying to do the best sessions we could and get the lads organised for the Wigan game. Obviously, it didn't do a good enough job, but it was a great experience. It was a really good experience, and I did enjoy it. Yeah.
How was that? Obviously, Matt Taylor came in a few days after that game. Was it? Are you always in limbo? Are you kind of thinking, am I going to do a session tomorrow? Is the new gaffer coming in? How is that different? And also, how is it different from being a player to then being briefly a caretaker manager, whether it's a change of manager?
It was never a permanent thing for us, so it was just a job for the week. So I always expected a new manager coming in, and I've been in that situation so many times. So for me, it's like, it is what it is. It's football. It happens. You've got to get with it. You know, some players don't like it because players don't like change. People like the comfort of the manager they had. But listen, as I say, that's football. So for me, it was just a case of just getting on with it, and it was just part and parcel of football.
Did it affect any of the younger players? I mean, you the likes of yourself and Woody were vastly experienced at that point. So, like you say, you'd been through it before. Obviously, some of the younger ones maybe not so much. And Warney being the character that he is, did it affect any of them? Do you think?
Maybe so, because as I say, Warney was really good at building relationships and being like matey mate, like how's your family, how's this, whatever. Matt Taylor was a little bit different. He was a little bit more in, and listen, he still had a relationship with people, but in a totally different way to Warney. So I can imagine some of the younger lads were a bit like how to take it, or Matt Taylor was, does he like me or does he not? So he liked to, you know, and which I don't mind, by the way, where Warney, the opposite, he'd come up to, how are you, pal? How's the family? Whatever.
Yeah.
So both different styles of management, and obviously as a young player, it's sometimes difficult to adapt to them styles. So I can imagine maybe it did affect some of them in some sort of way.
Yeah. And so a new manager comes in, obviously when a new manager comes in, it's normally because we're doing not very well. It's obviously unusual for a manager to come in. As a player, what are you wanting from your new manager? You're in a good position. What are you wanting from the manager, new guy coming in? Do you want him to change nothing? You want him to still put his own stamp? What are you looking as a professional from the new guy?
I always think it's difficult for a new manager to come in, especially when we're doing well. Because he stick with Warney's philosophy, or does he be his own person and do what he wants to do, which has got him the job? For me, I think you've got to go in the middle somewhere, and sort of not go fully away from what Warney was doing, because it was getting the results and it was getting what we needed at that time, but sort of implementing your own little bits and bobs that you wanted to see on the pitch. So, yeah, I'd say it's difficult for a new manager. It was difficult for Matt Taylor to come in at that time, because as you said, you usually come in when you're doing bad. We weren't doing bad. So, yeah, I can see it being difficult for him.
Yeah. It's interesting you say about the whole, you have to be in the middle between choosing your own philosophy and the previous manager's one. And I was just about to say before you mentioned that it felt like that's what Matt Taylor tried to do. He tried to implement his sort of style of, I don't want to say like a bit more football, but a bit more playing out from the back, mixed in with the sort of high intensity and aggression that Warren had in his teams as well. And look, this is coming from someone who, I've never played in the game. I don't know what it was like. That's a non-professional point of view. And I don't know whether during Taylor's time at the club, you felt like he did try and get his philosophy across, or did he come in and do the right things as a player, or do you think he sort of could have done better, could have done a lot worse? You did stay up that season, so I guess you could call it a success.
I liked Matt Taylor. I thought he was good. I liked the way he went about his business, mate. I thought he was very calculated and organised as a person, and I had a good relationship. As you say, I thought it was successful. He'd done what he needed to do for us to stay up, and when a new manager comes in, it takes time for it to implement a style, especially when you're underdogs in every game, especially when you fight to stay up, because at the end of the day, all that matters is the result. So he's caught between a rock and a hard stone, because he's looking for a style, but also got to get the results to go with it. So for me, as you say, he done what he needed to do and kept Rotherham up in the Championship.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it was a success, because he done what he was brought in to do.
No, I agree.
Yeah. I agree with something like that first season. Well, one of the standout results of the season, and Matt Taylor's time trial, was a Sheffield United away win. First time in 40 whatever year it was that we'd beaten Sheffield United at Sheffield United. Again, just talked about from a player, from those games as a player, from a player's perspective. It's a big derby game. It was Tuesday night as well, and it's all the mixture. They're a top team as well. It's all the mixtures of a classic, and it was for us.
Obviously a Yorkshire derby, and I played in Yorkshire derbies before. Obviously, Huddersfield, different ones, and I thought it was fantastic. I loved the build up to it. I loved about it that was going on in the town, in Rotherham and in Sheffield. I didn't realise how close they were until I come up to Rotherham. and obviously to put in a performance like we did and get the result was unbelievable.
Mm.
And then 2 years later, before we got our next away win.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Let's not get started on them away games.
Oh, we will. But another stand-up performance was the Blackburn game, the 4-0, which was a weird one because we'd gone we'd had a poor Christmas. You know, I think we got beat at Millwall really badly and a couple others. And then third in league comes to New York Stadium, and we absolutely batter him. That was probably the best performance under Matt Taylor. It was such a complete performance, that one. It was so good, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can remember that game quite vividly because I remember you went back to a 4, and I played. I remember I played right back in that game, and I can just remember like being 4-0 up, and I was thinking, where the hell's this come from? Everything that was going for us, like everything was going for us. And it was a great performance, by the way, as well as a great result.
It was,
It was so good. So good that day. We'll talk about a few players that you kind of play with at Rotherham, but I just want to talk about Hakeem Odoffin. When you came in, he was kind of outcast, and he just wasn't part of the team. And then Matt Taylor kind of brought him in, and he was almost the star of the show for the kind of rest of the season. Just talk to me kind of, again, you've seen players maybe come outcast and then come back into it. Just talk to me about how Hacks did, how you thought he dealt with the change and everything else to turn into what is now one of our best players currently.
What I can say first and foremost about Hacks is he's a proper professional. He does it properly. He never moans. He comes in, he's in the gym, he's doing his work, he's outside training properly, he does everything properly. And better than anything, he's a great human being. He's a great lad. He's a fantastic person. And he was just patient and listen, fair play to him because he was in, he was out, he was not in the squads, he was all over the place. But anytime you needed him, he'd come in and do a job. You could rely on him, and he would get you a goal. He's always able to get a goal. I say it all the time. I was down at the stadium against Wickham on Tuesday, and every time he goes corner or he's like a magnet. The ball just attracts him. So, no, great lad, great professional, and he's had a fantastic season. It's great to see how he's matured into a leader of the team, as you said, from being an outcast to a leader of the team now. It's great.
It is.
We love him. I mean, if you give him a green shirt and a pair of gloves, he'd do that job as well. You know, and he'd do it really, really well. We absolutely love him down there. And again, he's another one of those players, much like yourself, in the way that he approaches the game. You know, he's 100% behind it. And given the situation we're in at the moment, and we'll come on to that. You know, he's still one of the few players that tries to interact with the fans after the game, and you know, he's just the ultimate professional.
Yes, absolutely.
Good lads. Yeah.
We got to talk about your goals because you don't get many of them. We got 3 for us. 2 of them in defeats. You know, as a defender, when you get a goal, there must be bittersweet. You've scored a goal for the first time, whatever, but you've then lost. Can you enjoy it all after the game, or is it just in that moment you can enjoy it for that?
To me, I weren't bothered about scoring. To be honest with you, I was never bothered. I just love defending me. So a block would probably mean more to me than a goal. But it was to get myself on the score sheet. As you know, I don't really get myself on there, but it's nice at the time. But after that, it's like, well, it is what it is.
Proper defender. That's how it is. Like it.
Yeah.
And then we finish on that season with something the club had not done since 2015, so almost 10 years at the time. Was you didn't play in the Middlesbrough game that was confirmed survival. Was that worse? Did it make him more nervous that you didn't play in it? So you watching from the sidelines, or did you just have belief in the lads to get it done?
I had belief, definitely had belief, just from the team spirit. I think that season, the team spirit, the lads, everyone was really good. But I also I hate watching games. Get more nervous watching than I do actually playing. So I'd rather be involved, knowing that I can help, than sitting there on the side and watching. So it was very nervy. But I think Hakeem with that goal come good for us. So yeah, it was all good.
Yeah, what a goal, what a moment. I understand the players had a few nice days after you, a few days celebration. Were you part of the group that celebrated handily?
I think I had one of the days with them. We had a good few drinks, and I think it was Sheffield or somewhere like that. Yeah, good.
West Street.
Yeah. Then comes what feels like the downturn of the club, where the club has made the summer that came. You obviously re-signed with Matt Taylor. Was that an easy decision, or when the contract was kind of discussed, was it an easy decision to stay, bearing in mind the success we just had?
No, I wouldn't say it was an easy decision, to be honest with you, because I was probably thinking I should have finished on the high of the Championship, because I'd never ever been relegated. Well, apart from the Premier League into the Championship, I'd been relegated, but I'd never been relegated out of the Championship. I thought the Championship was my league. That's where I always based myself. I had so many years in the Championship, so I was always flirting with like, oh, you've done what you said you wanted to do, is and help Rotherham stay up. Should you stay? In terms of that, but I played 30 odd games. I was fit. I was playing well, and speaking to the manager, the family, and stuff like that. You've got another year in you, so I got roped into doing another year, and it was the Championship as well, which made a massive difference to me to go in the champ again. So yeah, it was a not difficult, but I had things to think about. It weren't as quite straightforward as going, yeah, I'm going to sign. But everything worked out, to be fair.
Can I quickly? So you didn't want to. Well, you had the sort of 50-50 mindset of coming back because the sort of relegation stuff, and that makes complete sense. It's you've spent your entire career in the Championship and made quite a name for yourself there. But was there a little part of you then that when you signed thought we might get relegated this season? Before or after the came in or whatever, or were you completely sure that whatever happened in the season happened, but before it started, you were like, we're going to stay up?
No, definitely. Listen, I would never have signed if I thought we'd get relegated. I had the belief in the boys, and listen, the signings that he was making at the time, that we were having a little go and trying to stay in the Championship, which we tried to. It obviously didn't work out at all, but it was one of them. It was just, I think the league was just so strong. It was too strong for a Rotherham team at that time.
Yeah, I agree. I remember the positivity going into the season as well. We were all we signed Kaffer, we've signed all these great players. It's going to be fantastic. And then we're 3-0 down at half time to Stoke, and again you pop up with another goal and then come off injured. That was one of the rudest of rude awakens we've had. What was the mood in the camp? Because I imagine you were all positive going into the season, and Stoke took us apart, sadly.
No, definitely. In that season, you got to think you had some really experienced Championship campaigners, so they never have felt we're going to get relegated. You've got the likes of your Sean Morrisons who's got promotions with teams, never mind relegations. And played hundreds and hundreds of games and scored lots and lots of goals in them leagues. So, and you had your Tyler Blackett's, you had your Jordan Hugels who they signed, and players like that. So you're looking around and you're going, oh, yeah, probably got some good players in this changing room.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it really shows. You were injured, obviously, like from that Stoke game for a little bit. You came back just before Matt Taylor's exit. So we took a couple of games. The South Yorkshire derby at Sheffield Wednesday, the 2-0 defeat. That was, as a fan, that was really rough, that one. And I suspect you, as players, you knew that would just. Derby's are difficult games, and Sheffield Wednesday were on the up that time. That was Danny Roll's first win, I think. Just talk to me about that game and why do you think it was so tough? Was it just Wednesday just did us that day, or? Yeah,
I just think. Listen, they just ran all over us. Literally ran all over us in that game, and before you know it, before you can get going, you think yeah, do you know what? We can get back, and you can't. You leave yourself with so much to do, and once the team gets in the momentum and start playing and got the crowd behind them and all stuff like that, it's really difficult to get a foothold in the game, and we found it difficult to listen. It could have been well more than 2 in that game. We were poor. We were really poor in that game, to be honest with you. Collectively, individually, everything about it was poor. So yeah, it's just one of them games where Sheffield Wednesday absolutely done us over.
It felt as a supporter, and I don't know whether this is a fair comment or not, but it felt that game seemed to me to be the sort of culmination of Matt Taylor kind of losing his way a little bit as a manager. That's how it felt to us as supporters.
One thing I'd say on that straight away is within that game, I remember me and Sean Morrison were talking, and we weren't right. I can remember saying to each other after the first 5-10 minutes of the game, we're not right.
Yeah,
everything was all over the place. So I agree completely with what you're saying.
Yeah, it kind of, and I think given the significance of the game to us as a football club and a set of supporters, I think that possibly signed the sort of the death warrant, if you like, for Matt Taylor's managership. But the performance was, I don't know. It wasn't it was a million miles away from a Paul Warne performance, and we'd had however many years it was of Warne's sort of high intensity, high energy, high work rate performances, and that kind of we kind of seem to move away from that under Matt Taylor, and that kind of put the final nail in coffin, I think, for a lot of supporters, and obviously for the chairman ultimately.
Yeah. I think that's where we go back to getting the balance right of the Paul Warne performances and put your Matt Taylor's what he wants to implement into the team. But listen, I think from a derby perspective, from a game like that, a significant game, that's got to come from within the players as well. It can't be a manager who's saying you've got to listen. You should be up for a derby. You should know you've got to run and cover every blade of grass and win every tackle and every header. So a lot of it's got to come from the players as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was given a couple more games after that Matt Taylor. It eventually came on the Watford 5-0 defeat. Again, how do you see it play? Because that was leaked. As fans, we knew about it Saturday evening. Basically, it got leaked out basically straight away. I assume as a player, you're getting those same leaks and getting the same information. You kind of know he's gone before he's actually officially gone. Yeah,
as you say, you start smelling and hearing, seeing the rumours and stuff like that. And normally, there's no smoke without fire. There's always some sort of truth to something, or whether they're talking about it or what, or they've done it. And have you told it? It was eventually done. He was gone.
Mm-hmm. Were you surprised? Again, you've been around a while. Could you lead the winner Wednesday game and then the 5-0 defeat? Could you feel something coming, or was it a little bit a surprise?
Listen, in football, nothing ever surprises me, especially when you're not getting results for one. But I suppose where Rotherham were at the time, and the power of the league, and it was one of them. It was like we were never expected to be going on runs or winning or like being. We were, as I say, we were always underdogs. So in that mind, I always thought managers would get a little bit longer than what other clubs would, if that makes
sense.
Yeah, definitely.
It does. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I'm going to say, go on.
Well, I know you're going to go on to what followed next in terms of the month or so, and we all know why. I think ultimately, don't we? Why we ended up with the debacle that we ended up with. So I'll let you ask the questions, Matt. One.
Okay, fair enough. So we had a 4-week wait for an appointment of a manager. Before I come to the specifics, how tough is that? Because there was rumours coming out constantly of he's going to be appointed. Nathan Jones has agreed. Matt Warburton's wants it. This, that. How tough, or is it easy because you could just kind of switch off? Wayne Carlisle's been there for a while, so maybe not too much of a change. Was it easy or was it difficult?
it weren't too bad for the lads because we had some sort of consistency in terms of training. We had Wayne Carlisle and Dan Green, who were really good people and good coaches, and the lads really got on with them. I think the difficulty is they probably knew they were Matt Taylor's guys as well, so they were just sort of papering the cracks at the time. I think after a little while, at one point, the lads, I went in and spoke to Wayne and Dan and said, listen, you might as well go and ask for the job yourselves because nothing's going on. You're taking the team. The lads respect you. You're putting on good. You're trying to make this work. You might as well put your name in the hat because surely something needs to be happening right now. As you say, the whole thing was a shambles. In terms of, listen, give them lads the job or have someone in place. When you were hearing stuff like the owner was away and this and that and whatever, the lads started to get a little bit itchy and a little bit scared, like what's going on. And when the results aren't going, to be fair, we were playing some all right stuff with Wayne and they sort of, as they done the best they could with what they had at the time. But yeah, it was at first it was okay, but it become difficult.
Yeah, I agree. And it's tough because when Taylor left, we're only 4 points adrift. That's not the end of the world. 4 points is easily doable. I think when Liam Richard came in, which we'll talk about, I think it got to 9 points, something like that. So again, that bad fees, what you said about it being a shambles as a fan, it was just so frustrating because you see we've got a point against Leeds, great point against Leeds, and another couple of the decent. It just needed something. Well, maybe fresh ideas, I don't know, or just if Wayne Carlisle knew he was getting it, then again everybody can relax and feed into it. Just a shambles. Shambles is the right word. And if you could pinpoint exactly where the downfall of the club started, it's that 4-week wait. It feels like
would be one.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Liam Richardson. Comes in just pre-Christmas. What were your thoughts on that? Again, he's only done League One, really. I did briefly in the Championship with Wigan. Is he somebody you'd come across before in football?
Funny enough, I haven't really come across him, but I knew about him because I'm good friends with Gary Roberts and Paul Cook. Really close with Gary Roberts. I used to play with him, and know Paul through Gary, and obviously Liam was part of their team for a long time at Wigan and Chesterfield, all the other clubs that they've been at. So we had really good mutual friends. So I'd heard about him through that.
Yeah. And was there an instant change? He kept Wayne Carlisle and Dan Green for a brief little bit. Sometimes managers come in instantly as a reaction. And to be fair, some of those early performances were quite good. I think that he lost at Plymouth, but that was really unlucky. And the start was okay, weren't it? It just, with January onwards, it kind of dropped down.
Yeah. I think the problem was with Liam, he needed the time to implement what he was a proper coach. He was on the pitch doing everything. He wanted to implement the way he wanted to play. He had his own ideas. He wanted to do it his way, which is fine, no problem. But he probably, where the club was at that time, results, as we go again, it's results or style. You know, you've got to pick one or the other, because if you're trying to implement your style, you're going to hit a few bumps and stuff along the way, because the lads are getting used to what you're wanting. But ultimately, we needed the results. So for me, when Liam come in, it was like they were getting ready for League One.
Yeah,
that was for League One, and you're giving him his time to implement a style, and you're going to have a good team going in for League One. That's what my own personal point of view was, because when you look at it when he come in and stuff like that, listen, we had a goal, but it weren't happening. We weren't going to stay up. So for me, when you're looking at it, it was for the League One appointment. So God knows what happened after that.
I think that's what we, as supporters, that's pretty much what we felt. You know, we felt that, you know, he's been brought in for this season. You know, rather than for last. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, God knows what happened after that.
But by the way, he was a top coach. He was a really good, good coach. You could see his and what he wanted to do, the way he wanted, but I just don't think it was the right time for him to be doing, for that to be happening.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel as a supporter from the outside, it feels like that Liam Richardson was treated really badly by Rotherham United. It really does. From his appointment right through to his eventual demise, because it coming in after a 4-week break or whatever it was, but without appointing a manager, and lots of other information coming kind of indirectly from the club about other managers, and then everybody turning us down or whatever. The appointment itself felt like, I felt quite bad for him. You know what I mean? And then not to be even given half a season was just, it was just wrong.
Yeah.
From our point of view as supporters, obviously
it was difficult for him, and then you've got to take into account the time of the year he come in with the weather, the training facilities, and all that, because that was shocking because of the and stuff like that, and then the injuries he had to deal with as well. I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah,
you bring the facilities up, so I'm going to touch on that because Matt Taylor and Liam Richardson both told us the facilities weren't up to scratch, and we've seen pictures of them. I haven't been down there, but I've seen pictures of them, and they don't look like they're up to scratch. Subsequent managers have told us that there's no wrong with facilities and they're pretty good for League One. You've been around the block, so you for Championship standard, where do the facilities? Not biggest club in the world, we know where we are, but are the facilities up to standard?
Nowhere near it.
Okay.
Nowhere near it. And listen, that's as much as I listen. When I first went there, I'd already signed, so I went down to the training facilities then afterwards, and I was like, wow, this is. Listen, I've been at big clubs. I'm used to really like big facilities, and look, I'm not really that way inclined. As long as there's a good training pitch and you can get a shower and something to eat, you're sound. But at times you're struggling for that. Especially in the winter, and if you got any rain, obviously they spend some money on the drainage system, because them pitches, honestly, I've never seen any. Local parks were better than that. It was, I don't know if it was because we had so much rain at the time, or I never forget one time. We were about to play Southampton in the Championship, and it was Thursday, and we got to the training ground, and the pitches, we could not train on the pitches. It was impossible to train on the pitches. So we went to a boxing gym and was boxing on a Thursday. And in my head, I was thinking, we're playing top of the league, Southampton. We're fighting for our lives to stay up. And on Thursday, we're in a boxing gym, boxing. And in my head, I was thinking, I wonder what Southampton are doing. And that was what you were dealing with across. There was times when we just couldn't train. We weren't training. There's times when we'd have to go down to the shoe, where the 4G facilities. Is a lot of the lads don't like going on the 4G facilities. It's too hard. They don't like it. They don't like the impact it has on the knees and the backs and the ankles and stuff like that. So you'd have half a team not training. You'd have half a team training. So the facilities was really difficult. One of the most difficult things I had to deal with at that club was the facility.
Interesting. You mentioned the boxing thing. I remember the club tweeting out about it, and it felt like a big, the bonding thing. But if it was
it's a Thursday, 2 days before the game in the Championship, and you're boxing, where would you? I know you the pitching and whatever way you want to paint it, but you're in the Championship, one of the best leagues in the world, and you haven't got a facility to train on, so you have to do boxing.
It's ridiculous.
That Southampton game as well. They took us apart, and you can see why they took us apart as well.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not surprised we struggled then, basically.
And I also think you talk about a lot of the injuries. I think a lot of the injuries for me, my own personal view was come from the training ground. You know, if you go there and look at the training pictures, it's on a hill. It's slanted like that all the way. So for me, listen, you don't get that many injuries from just out of nowhere. Everybody was doing this. Injuries, hamstrings, big hamstring injuries. It was either the training facilities or the load. I don't know, but it was something to do with that because I've never seen injuries like that before.
Yeah. Well, Matt Taylor said that. We had Matt Taylor on our podcast, and he said in the summer before this season, he said he thought that the soft pitches and everything else that was going towards it was causing injuries in the previous season. Yeah. Obviously, they didn't fix it. But they've apparently put money in this summer, so hopefully they've improved. But I suppose time will tell on that one.
To be fair, so I couldn't.
Yeah.
Look, before we come on to this, is there a point in this season? You've been in good seasons, bad seasons. Was there a point where you thought, okay, this season's not happening? It's just going to end in tears this year, or was it just an accumulation of everything?
No, I think it was just an accumulation of everything. If I'm being honest with you, I'm always accountable for myself first and foremost, and I think every player has to be accountable. But you've also got to look at the other bits and bobs, as we say, the facilities and all the other stuff that's going on around it. You're playing against elite players, by the way. Elite players. It's not a dog and duck league or anything like that. It's a proper league where if you're not doing things properly, you'll be found out. And I think that's what happened all over the board, by the way. And that's in terms of our performances, facilities, everything, managers, everything all come inside one, and that's why we ended up the way we did.
Yeah. Sums up pretty well.
But then I suppose it got better, didn't it?
Did it? Before we talk about other stuff, let's talk about the worst refereeing decision ever.
Oh, God, yeah.
We can laugh now, but
It's tragic.
about that. Your penalty you gave away.
Honestly, it was bizarre.
Yeah.
Oh, honestly, absolute bizarre. Yeah. I always say, I say it now. I listen. I'm sure there's worse, but what I've seen, I think that's one of the worst decisions I've ever seen in football.
Yeah.
I actually thought somebody had punched somebody in the box. Like I thought something had happened in the box.
Yeah.
So I went there. It was because of me. I thought something had gone on in the box. So when I found out it was me, I was like, "Oh my God!" Do you know what? It was that mad. You couldn't even be angry about it. I'm like, "What the hell?" Baffled.
I forgot all about that. How could I forget that?
Yeah. I don't know how you could forget that. Did you ever get an explanation from ref? Did the referee just say you assumed you're in box or what?
Come in straight away after the game, or was it half time, and said, and like, listen, no matter what he says, it doesn't matter, does it? It was. I can understand if it was in the box or he got it wrong or whatever, but it was nowhere near it. You can't.
Yeah.
Honestly, come in and he was trying to apologise, and everyone was just like, "Get the F out, mate."
Yeah. I can imagine. Well, we can laugh now, I suppose, but yeah. That was when you're down, that's the last thing you need, isn't it? When you're so far down.
When you think anything can go worse, and then
I'm going to ask you a question about referees. When you are, because you've been at some big clubs and some successful clubs, when we're in the Championship, it feels like we get this wrong end at stick a lot. Is that us being little club syndrome, or is there something about the little clubs not getting the rub of the green?
I definitely felt it. In terms of not getting decisions, whether or not that's because it's a smaller club or whatever. But you know, as you say, I've been at bigger clubs where you're like, bloody hell, how have we got that decision or so. I have been at both ends of the stick, and I definitely felt that in the majority of the games, you're questioning a lot of decisions all the time, and I think that gives reason for the people to speak about the club or the results or the referees a lot more, because there's times I can remember. There's times when who was it that got sent off?
Bobby Madley's performance against
Fred Onyedinma.
with
That was
Fred
the one.
Dodson. Yeah.
Stuff like, oh my God, the penalty decision, like against me. Imagine that was for West Brom, who were going for promotion, who were going for the playoffs. Imagine that happened. Nothing got. That just got brushed under the carpet. Oh yeah, we made a mistake. But imagine what would happen if that was against a big club.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, yeah, I agree with you.
Good. I'm glad to make, because sometimes we just feel like we're whinging. So glad somebody agrees with us. Then comes the second change of manager in the season. Only 3 games left of the season at the time. I get from a fan, this happened really quickly. Literally the same day the confirmation said that Richardson's leaving and Evans was coming in. How quick was that? Again, is this the same for a player, or was there a little bit before and that you knew Richardson's time was up?
Not really, no. That was more of a shock than the Matt Taylor one, the Richardson one. But as I say, something obviously was going on behind closed doors for them to appoint Mr. Evans so quickly.
Yeah. Did you have any dealings with the chairman at all, or
No.
Okay.
None. I had a good relationship with Rob Scott and Paul Douglas, but not with the chairman.
Okay, fair enough. So Steve Evans comes in with 3 games to go. Just talk to me about your feelings of that. Were you looking ahead as well? Were you looking for the next season, maybe staying, or were you done anyway? So it maybe didn't really matter.
Listen, I thought I was more or less. I was more done than I was gonna carry on playing. I was more done, especially with the season. It was mentally really draining, and I just thought that what was going on at the club, I just thought, wow, I didn't really need this at this point in my career. And then obviously Steve Evans come in. Never really come across him apart from opposite team. It was funny because the first day he come in, as soon as I walked through the door, his assistant Rains said the gaffer wants to see you. So went in, he said, the first time I come across you, you called me a foot and whatever across the pitch. Oh no, where's this going? And he went, I loved it. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. And I was like, that was a bit strange.
Yeah.
But listen, when he come in, he had 3 weeks left. All he needed to do was keep everyone on side. He had his own plans and whatever he was doing. He didn't really need to cause any stir the pot or anything, because he had really big characters in there where I think he wouldn't have got away with stirring the pot or shouting the way he would, like, not got away with it. He could have obviously done it, but I think players just turned around and said to him, hold on a second, like, relax, like, sort of relax yourself, don't become matters like that sort of thing. So, listen, I didn't really have much dealing with him. The 3 weeks I was there, he was okay with me. I don't think I could have played a season under him.
Yeah.
That's just my own personal opinion. That's just for what he demands or what he wants. That just weren't for me. He could have probably thought the same about me in terms of I might not have been for him in terms of a player, but it is what it is. It's football.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely. And also that last game against Season where we won 5-2, entertaining game. It was Victor's big send off, and then kind of randomly you got subbed off, and all the players are going towards you. And as fans, we kind of wake up again. Oh, so this is it. Then it's for Pelts. It kind of went under the radar till you got subbed off, but that seemed like a good moment for you. The players got around you, and it seemed like a good moment for you.
Yeah. Listen, I think whatever was happening, I was definitely finished at Rotherham. I don't think I could have done another season there. So I think a few of the lads sort of knew that, and listen, I've still got really good close mates at Cardiff, and they sort of knew that. So it's quite fitting, to be fair, for me. But it was for Cardiff and it was at Rotherham as well, because I think at one point the Cardiff lads were saying if I was retiring, they wanted to do like a Cardiff on. And I thought, like, no, none of that. I didn't know what if I was fully retiring yet. Anyway, but it was really, really nice. It was nice. My little lad was there as well. So yeah, it was a good send off for me. That's all I needed, to be fair.
I guess it's also not very often you get a round of applause or an ovation from all four sides at ground either, is it? So
no, honestly, it was lovely. And listen, my time at Rotherham, I was only there for 2 years, but do you know what? I generally enjoyed it. I know the results and stuff like that, but I used to love going on that pitch and playing for the pitch and playing for the pitch, playing for the fans, and playing for the lads who I was with, and the managers and stuff like that. So, listen, as the results didn't go, but for me, I was at a different stage in my career where I could just go out and enjoy. I was just in the time out on the pitch and the performances and stuff like that. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you could tell, and I'll be honest with you, we could do a Lee Peltier this year. I want to ask about a few bits. Obviously, one of the things that Steve Evans has mentioned a lot this year is blaming the current season on the last 18 months to 2 years. I saw you post the post you put out after the Barnsley game. I suppose that was the last 2 years' fault as well. Yeah. When a manager is saying that about what was, for the first year, a very successful year, how tough and rough is that to take, that he's kind of almost trashing something that... I'm strong, I don't know.
I was just sick of it, to be honest with you, because that's all I kept hearing. The years, like, I was just sick of... I was just sick of hearing that, and I found it quite disrespectful for everybody who was there the following years, like beforehand. He didn't know what we went through. He weren't there. When the pitches were terrible, and funny enough, he's gone through the same injuries and stuff like that now. So, and I remember reading an interview at the start of the season, and he was saying something about the injuries. The medical team hadn't been good enough, and the training hadn't been good enough, and stuff like that. That's why we were getting so many injuries. So why are we getting so many injuries now?
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly not through training, I'll tell you that.
Well, why I was getting sick of it, because I was like, well, it's happened to you, so don't flag off what had gone on prior. You've got your team. You've gone out in the transfer window and brought in your players. There's hardly anyone who's there now. Who's there? Hakeem, Cam,
John Hugo's still there, but he's not playing.
In the starting 11, Sam Nombe.
Yeah, Sam. Yeah,
three players.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we could, and we do twice a week go on for an hour and a half about this man, and we're as a set of supporters, we're not fans in any way, shape, or form. So I can very much understand why it frustrated yourself and lots of the other players as well. But I mean, that is just every single time he opens his mouth, there's something else comes out that's just nonsense. So.
Exactly, and that's the frustrating. And listen, I'm a straight up person. If I seen him, I'd say the same thing. I'd say the same thing to him myself. But I was just sick of, like, listen. At some time, as I say, I don't know if it's just me. I'm an accountable person. Be accountable. To your team. Do you know what I mean? It is your team. Let the players be accountable. You be accountable. Everyone's got to be accountable. It's to do with last year, because by the way, last year you were in the Championship, not League One. It's a total ball game.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing, you know. We've spoke for 50 odd minutes now, and we started off with a Paul Warne era where accountability was everything. You know, taking responsibility was everything, and that came across. It came across the culture throughout the club That's how it came across, that people would take responsibility for their own actions, and they would graft, and they would graft for the badge and the club and the teammates and everything else. And we've gone from there to the manager calling out individual players in public interviews and blaming the past 2 years and everything else. As a set of supporters now, it just feels like I don't know. We were there. We were 7th, 8th in the championship. We were competing. We were doing really well as underdogs, admittedly, but we were doing it because of what was being done by the manager, by the team, by the coaching staff, and everything else. And we've gone from there to an absolute. I mean, you used the word earlier on about something else, an absolute shambles, and that feels as supporters where we are now. So, but to blame, like you said, to blame the team from last year and the year before that is just, it's mind blowing. It's genuinely mind blowing. But
that's the thing, and as I say, is I was there against Wickham, and I couldn't believe how many supporters were there. It was empty. The place was empty. I was like, obviously this isn't good, because I've been. You know what the funny thing was? Even when we were in the championship losing, we were still getting people through that door. No matter the results, and people could say we played poorly, and at times, we were getting beat 5-0 or whatever. Yeah, like the fans have a right to express what they're feeling, but more times than not, they knew that team was going out there and having a right go. And when you'd go out there on a Saturday or a Tuesday night, you could feel that as a player, 1,000,000%. When I went there on Tuesday, it was dead.
Yeah, there is nothing, and we talked about this on the podcast the other night. That even we score a goal now, and it's an effort to get up and stand up and applaud. It genuinely is. Mentally, you just feel, well, great. It's just there's just nothing there. There's no feeling anymore, and that transmits to the players as well. Obviously, like as you've just said there, horrible.
But for me, it's the fact that he's brought all his own players in. He's got a big budget. Rotherham have a big budget for League One.
Yeah.
So it's not as if you've been picking just little players here and there. You see, when we were in the Championship, it's different when you're going to try and pick players. Do you know what I mean? You want to really come to a struggling. When you're in League One and you're there as a favourite, you've got your pick and you're paying good money. You've got your pick of players. He's brought in his own players. So where do you go from that now going forward?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, what? Yeah. Let's not get into it. But what you might do is take accountability and take responsibility for your actions and your and how you performed yourself, wouldn't you? But let's.
Then in the same breath, I'm reading interviews or seeing interviews saying even players I've signed for this season, they can go as well.
Yeah.
That's the Stevens way.
Just a bit like a wash machine, in it, a cycle.
Yeah, it is. You watched it against Wickham. What do you think? What do you think of the team? It was a narrow loss against a good Wickham team. I know what we think, but it'd be nice to have a kind of objective view of how the team did.
I thought first half was all right. Thought it was okay, but I thought the way Wickham made it like that. They were very comfortable. Like they just sat in. They didn't really press us. They didn't really press. Well, I say us as if I was playing. They really put on a press, and they were countering a couple of times. I think there was maybe half an opportunity. Who was it? Someone had a header. Mac Williams was it? Was a half opportunity. Maybe could have done better. Maybe not. But other than that, there's not creating nothing.
No,
not creating nothing. And I think Wickham would feel more comfortable with Rotherham having the ball than they did themselves, because at some point they know they can get it and then break. Counter.
Every time they got the ball and moved forward, you thought, okay, they're moving here. They're moving forward. They mean business when they moved with it. I felt like.
But you've got to take into account as well. I could see Wycombe's game plan was to sit in straight away.
Yeah.
So, and it was very rare. Listen, I thought Cam in the middle was keeping the ball ticking over at the first half, and I thought once the boy at the back got injured and you took him out of the middle, there weren't no real, reassurances in there where people were picking up the ball and just keeping the ball moving. And then obviously the second half was a different. To be honest, I missed 2 of the goals. I left.
Yeah,
you were of everybody who were there.
Yeah. So I've been to a few games this season, and I think they've all been the same.
Yeah. You know, the ones you haven't been to, they were the same as well.
It was funny because got to my seats. I was sitting in the directors bit, and there was a fan. He was sat a couple of on the right hand side. He said, "Don't know why you've come here today, Lee. It's been really bad, mate."
Just boring football.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do? Let's finish on some positives, though. Let's go through a couple of quick fire questions. Do you have a favourite moment on the pitch while playing for Rotherham in those 2 years? Do you ever stand out?
What do you think? I'd say that Blackburn game was a really good game to be involved in. Sheffield United, obviously. I'd probably. Do you know what? I had to, looking back at it, weren't all bad,
Exactly.
There was some good times. Even in the last season, as I say, there was some good times, and had some good times with the lads, and even around the changing rooms and stuff like that. They were a good set of lads, all of them in there. They were a good set of lads. But probably the Sheffield United probably sticks out more than any.
Yeah, that was a good day, good night. And who do you think was the best player you played at while at Rotherham? You have some very, very good players, some in that first year and obviously some in the second year as well. Is there one or two top players?
Probably Chio, for what he's gone on and done.
Yeah.
He's gone on and done really well. And, the moment I got there, I didn't know about Chio. I'd never seen it before. And I remember Warney pulling me in and said, "We've got this boy. He's really good." And I think at the time, there was a little bit of about him leaving. But they managed to keep him in. And, he was a talent. He was a real powerful boy. And as I say again, he was a great human being. He was a great lad around the place. So, which is even better. But I'd probably say Chio. Dan Barlasser had good ability and good talent to go on. And he's gone on to Middlesbrough and done well there. But for what Chio's gone on and done, I'd say Chio.
Chio. God, I've got a gift for a Chio type player nowadays, I tell you. Hello again. I hope we've all enjoyed the interview, just watched. Just a little bit of context, as you may well have worked out, this was recorded during the season. So the bit about how we were playing is maybe a bit outdated because it was during the Steve Evans time, but I think it hopefully adds a bit of something to the season. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, make sure you've given us a thumbs up and subscribed. Put in the comments what your favourite bit was. I thought Lee was excellent, as you expected. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Tune in next time for what will be a return to nonsense probably. But thank you everybody. We will see you next time. And as always, up the Millers.
Ravel, vicious, but brilliant. Mule with it. Wood's got around the back, and Richie Wood